Greetings everyone, this is Andrea Marah from Myrrh and FrankinSCENTS, and we are about to make some room and linen sprays. So I'm going to bring you along with me. This is actually my first time making these, making them in a big batch. So I'm definitely going to be scaling my recipe for the first time. So here's the recipe. And I always retype my recipes in a uniform format because I just like the way it looks when I have all my recipes in the book together. So let's see. We are using 92% distilled water. We're going to be doing 5% fragrance, 2% polysorbate 20, and 1% preservative. You do not want to make a water-based product without some type of preservative if you're going to sell. If it's for home, that's fine. But for the safety of you and the customer, you don't know what the customer is going to do with the product after it leaves your site. So never sell any water-based product without some type of preservative. So I'm going to be doing 4 bottles of each scent, and I have about 8 different scents that I'm going to do. So that's 16 ounces. That's 16 ounces of each fragrance that I'm going to do. So go ahead and figure out my recipe. So I need 16 ounces. For distilled water, I need 0.92, and that's going to give me 14.72 ounces of water. 16 times 0.05. That's going to give me 0.80 ounces of fragrance. 16 times 0.02. That's going to give me 0.32 ounces of polysorbate, and 16 times 0.01, that gives me 0.16 ounces of preservative. So if you're doing like I am, doing 4 4-ounce bottles, that is what your requirements are going to be. So I'm going to go ahead and get my things together, and then we'll get started making. Okay, so in a moment of clarity, I adjusted my recipe to add 1 more ounce of product. And I did that, you can pause the screen there if you want, because I forgot I like to have samples, or testers rather, that people can spray into the air without having to open and spray my actual product. So the black dip tubes are going to be for the small ones, and the white are for my spray bottles. Some of my products have been transitioning into white containers, so you'd rather cut your dip tube a little bit long than too short. Okay, so you see where it kind of bends a little bit in there, so I know that it's just long enough so you can get that last little bit of product out. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and cut all of these down, and I'll be right back with you. Alright, so all of my dip tubes are now cut. I pre-sanitized my bottles and ready to get mixing. So whenever you're making your product, be sure you use a scale so you have accurate measurements every time. I'm going to pre-mix my polysorbate and fragrance in these cups here. That way I can give those two a chance to bond before I mix them into the water solution. So let's go ahead and tear the scale. Alright, so let's start with the Perfect Gentleman. You know what? I actually could just go ahead and I'll do one and then I'll do the other ones in bulk. So let's do polysorbate 20. I need 0.34 ounces. So we'll just make that 0.35. And it's a little bit over, but it shouldn't make too much of a difference. Alright, tear the scale. And I'm going to get 0.85 ounces. There we go. Leaking down the back a little bit. And plastic sheet protector for the save. Alright. Alright. So I'm going to give those a bit of a mix. Scrape the sides down a little bit. So the polysorbate should bond with the fragrance and help it to disperse into the water. So you won't have an oil slick on top. Alright, so I'm going to let that sit for a minute while I get the water and preservative mixed up. Okay. Alright, let's tear the scale. We're going to add 15.64 ounces, and we'll round up to 15.65 ounces of water. I hope I didn't say 16. Alright, 15.65. And for preservative, I need 0.17. The preservative that I'm using is by Crafter's Choice. It's basically it's Optifin Plus. It's their version of Optifin Plus. So I'm gonna add a little more than 0.15. Those together. I'm going to add in my polysorbate. Let me move this. Ooh, and it goes milky. Move this so you can see. You saw how just adding that in and it went really milky. And that is why most people choose to use opaque bottles for the room sprays, so that customers don't see the milky color. So I'm just going to give that a good mix around. Okay. And it looks just like watery milk. It does not smell like it. It smells very good. I'll weigh everything out. I'm going to label my bottles. These are the Perfect Gentleman. So I'll put a little TPG on there. That way I will know what is what. And permanent marker rubs right off with a little rubbing alcohol. So this is how, when I do things that are in similar bottles, if I have to do a lot of different, oh, and my little baby one. And I use a thick white label as well, so if there was to be any residue left over, it would not matter. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and pour it into the bottles. See? Alright. So I've tiered my scale, and I'm going to guide it in there, make sure. Switch this up. And I always finish up by going over my bottles with rubbing alcohol after I'm done. I know I'm going kind of slow because I'm taking my time, but when I get in the groove, it'll go pretty quickly. When you get to the end, it always looks like it's not going to be enough. And then miraculously, it is. And it's perfect so that it's not quite. Even though I measured for that little bit extra, it definitely is under. That's why I like to do a little bit more for my samples. So if it's under, no worries. Alright, so I'm going to speed through the next few batches, and I will be right back with you. I'm going to get the labels on these. And swing the camera. Here's all that was done today. There we go. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on making room and linen sprays. I hope it was helpful. And if you decide to include, now this is, I'll be honest, this is not my recipe. This is a pretty popular recipe going around, but this is my first time making it in bulk to sell. So I'm excited to see what customers think. All right, with that, this is Andrea and Marah. Peace and blessings, and stay sensational.